I'm going to select all the teams, and I'm going to go over here for the first time ever in show history. And I'm going to click 7 rounds. The 7-round marathon mock draft is going to be at noon Eastern, Tuesday, April 14th for that charity stream. Over under 4.5 missed clicks from Trevor. We go back and forth with you guys for 7 straight hours as we go through every single pick that a mock draft can possibly handle. So we're starting the draft. Final pick of the 4th round. I'm going to draft Ahmed Hassanin here to the Browns at 200.
Every last super chat dollar goes to 2 different charities.
$300 super chat.
What? We had so much fun on last year's show. We can't wait for it again. It's going to be great. It's going to be jam-packed with, obviously, you guys in the chat. May this stream rest in piss. Tim, you're on thin ice, brother, with guests that we get throughout the marathon. Benjamin Solak. Mike Renner, baby.
You broke up there, but I'm sure it was something stupid.
It's a great time, so hopefully you guys can join us for that at noon Eastern, Tuesday, April 14th. Appreciate you guys. See you then. We need to have an NFLSC like Ring of Honor.
Roy Lopez, Jalen Catalan.
I mean, Audrey Guessame and
Audrey Guessame.
Bullrush McIntyre.
Bullrush McIntyre.
Alfred Collins.
Peter's got to go.
Yeah, Peterson.
Kayden McPounder.
There's actually a lot of candidates.
The meat fabric. The meat pounder.
Yeah.
The meat fabric.
She said meat pounder.
The meat pounder.
We need to get a jacket fitted for the meat pounder.
Are you?
May have contributed to a cold opening.
Welcome to the opening bell of the NFL Stock Exchange podcast. I'm Trevor Sikkema. With me, as always, is Connor Rogers. We're here to do a lot of things today. We're going to talk about defensive tackles. We're going to rank our top defensive tackles that we have in the 2026 class. Give you some pro comps, some scheme fits, some ceilings, some round projections of where these guys could go. All that great stuff. And then, I'll talk about the PFF stuff a little bit. But Connor, how you doing, my friend?
I'm laughing because in the moment you could see in Garrett's face, like the sheer panic of like, I just became a cold open.
I got cold open.
Yeah, there's nothing I could do to go back in time to change it. And the chef, of course, with his editing capabilities, that's a 10 out of 10.
The chef's IQ and awareness for a good cold open is just, it's unmatched, I think, in the entire industry. And that's why Garrett started sweating on the Monday episode, because he knew you can't give the chef a cold open like that, and he's not going to pick it. We knew that was going to happen. If you guys missed the Monday episode, that was a little taste of the fun that we had. Man, it was awesome. Connor, it was so awesome to have Garrett on. I always love those collab mock draft series, but Garrett's been somebody who, really, really cool, has been listening to this podcast for a long time. So him getting to hop on and do a mock draft with us, I mean, he was firing off the inside jokes and the bits, and he was very much a representative of the addicts there on that show. So I really enjoyed that episode.
Yeah, he gets it, and obviously has an incredibly successful YouTube channel, in football analysis that pumps out some really, really great content. So thanks again to Garrett for all of his time and for a lot of laughs along the way, I would say.
For sure. No, there's no doubt about it. That was an episode that was a ton of fun. We're going to have a ton of fun on this episode as well. Defensive tackles, man. There's a lot to get into, I think, with defensive tackles, because when we specifically talk about those interior defenders, it looks very different, depending on whether you're primarily an odd front or an even front. You could be more of a 3 technique, a pass rush specialist. You could be a nose tackle and just, hey, my job is to defend the run.
Yeah.
You could have those 3-4 defensive ends as well, those guys who are 2-gappers in odd fronts where you let the linebackers play a little bit more free, have a little less to worry about. So there's a lot of different ways that you can judge and rank interior defensive linemen. And I'm excited to talk about it all here with you. So just overall, just treetop thoughts here with this interior defensive line class before we get into the ranking. I'm not going to lie. I was a little disappointed.
Me too.
From the hype that we had going into the season, specifically with a lot of these guys like Peter Woods and Caleb Banks, and these guys are like top 15 locks. And we've had some guys obviously pop up throughout the last 6-7 months since then, but just overall, it's not as dominant as a group as we've seen in years past.
I agree with that. And I think that, there's ebbs and flows, of course, of the draft, where this year, this linebacker class is better than typical years. The edge class is really deep. We like the safeties. So you're always going to have a down year somewhere. But where this one, oh no, apparently you dropped the phrase that shall not be said, but
Wait, the numbers?
Yeah,
I dropped the numbers?
The chat is accusing you of it. I will not repeat that.
I
didn't even catch it.
I
didn't even catch it.
When did I say it?
Chef, you're gonna have to weigh in at some point.
When did I say it?
You're gonna have to weigh in.
Wait, can we do the baseball?
replay?
Yeah, we're
the
tapping the helmet.
challenge.
We're tapping the helmet
ABS.
here.
We need ABS on this.
We do.
Our umpiring is not good. You said, apparently you said it in about months. But
God, man,
yeah, you did. They don't miss. They're all over your ass.
Yeah, you guys are ruthless, but that's why we need you. We need you
with this group, though. I'll say what's probably disappointing or a little bit more confusing to kind of navigate your way through is that there was some high-end talent in summer scouting that, for various reasons, did not age the way you hoped throughout the course of this college season.
Right.
Now, with Caleb Banks, he just didn't really get to play a lot of football, and that's a shame because we were so excited about Caleb Banks. Peter Woods is going to be a longer conversation, so I won't spoil it. Where you have to look at this defensive line class, and there's guys, and I have a feeling you and I will be relatively high on them, that you feel so good about the floor, but admittedly, you know there might not be a pass rush ceiling that you're hoping for with a typical first-round defensive tackle selection.
Yep.
While other guys, you might say, I'm going to let someone else take a chance on that guy, and if I miss, so be it. But I just haven't been given a lot of confidence. So it's an interesting class to go through. And then I do think on the back end of it, the more of like the 6 through 10 range and the guys that miss the cut, there are role players that are very, very scheme dependent. And there's nothing wrong with that. They're just not going to be for everybody, and they'll be valued more highly by other teams.
Right. Yeah. And that's why I think that where we're not going to get to the end of this episode, spoilers, when we get to the our top 3 defensive tackles, and we're not going to talk about, guys who are, oh, this guy's a surefire all-pro or something like that. But I do think that the conversations are going to be great in those middle parts of the rankings and ending parts of the top 10, back end of the top 10, because they are going to be scheme-specific guys, but that doesn't mean they're not going to be football players at the next level that can contribute as rotational guys or specialized players. I think that's well within the cards. So before we get into the rankings here, Peter said, we see that arm pump, Trevor, which is a reference to the tweet I had this morning, which says, now that I'm unemployed, and then I posted the clip of Rich Piana, RIP, the 8-hour arm workout, which is made up of 16 30-minute arm workouts, which is supposed to put
branding.
1 inch on your biceps in total arm size after every single time that you do this. I didn't get through it because, if I did, I'd have even bigger arms, but
the 8-hour arm day.
Maybe we'll have to do an IRL stream for the 8-hour arm workout when we get into summer content. But
some people punch into the cubicle. Some people from the 9 to 5 punch into the 8-hour arm day. That is good.
But that does bring me to, I wanted to address this off the top of the show. Anybody who follows me on Twitter saw this. I'm no longer with PFF. PFF sort of split the company and sold the business to business.
By the way.
That's true.
Sorry.
Yeah, so you're right. Like neither are we. You are
but we're
correct.
Still here. Everyone.
You are correct. NFLSC is independent, and the rocket ship continues to move up, folks. PFF. Any article that you read, kind of recapping it, just to let you know, they split the company in half. The business side of things, where they deal with NFL teams, giving them their data, they sold that over to Teamworks. The media arm of the company does still exist, but they downsized that a ton. And I was one of a lot of people who got laid off on Monday. And to be honest with you, really, I'm not here to shit talk PFF. So if you're looking for me to do that, I'm not going to do it. To be honest with you, what I really want to use this platform for is to say thank you to you guys. The outpouring of support that you had for not just me, but what meant a lot more to me is my coworkers on Monday. I can't thank you enough for that. Like, I love you guys. I truly do. There are some of those guys that got, let go. All of them, honestly, that got let go on Monday. They're unbelievably talented in what they do, whether it's the graphics design guys, the social guys, the production guys, the guys in front of the camera, Mason, Max, Dalton, myself, like those guys are so great at what they do. And it was a situation that them being free agents today is not their fault. It was just, it's business. It happens. It's not their fault. And these guys I said this on Twitter, they're culture changers, they're grinders, they know ball, man. And I just think that anybody out there, if you have a spot and you're thinking about hiring these people, I couldn't recommend them anymore. So I just wanted to sort of address that at the very top. I can't thank you guys enough for the support. So many people asked about NFLSE, responding to my tweet and wondering what was going to happen. We ain't going anywhere, baby. You know the Wolf of Wall Street clip. I'm not leaving. And that is exactly what NFLSE is. And to be honest with you, I'm probably going to have a lot more time to be able to pour into NFLSE. So I hope you guys like what we do around here, because we're probably going to be giving you a lot more of it. So thank you guys so much for the support. I already see so many super chats about it, as we have been doing the last month or so. We'll read most of the super chats at the end of the episode, but I just wanted to start the show with a moment of gratitude for you all and your support, not just for me, but to be honest with you, how much it meant to me to see that support for a lot of my coworkers on Monday as well. So thank you guys. I appreciate it. I really do.
You are nothing but a man of class consistently when times you don't always have to be. And that is something of many things that I respect about you, my friend. And I think very shortly, this will just be for the long-term benefit of you. I don't think that. I actually know that. So like you said, this show's not going anywhere. It was, honestly, I have to just say this, as someone who didn't work there, it was great launching the podcast through PFF.
I know.
Like this podcast was born through PFF. It started on the PFF YouTube channel. A lot of people that unfortunately don't have jobs anymore, whether they left before all of this or now are without, employment because of this, did a lot of groundwork to get this not only off the ground, but keep it running and support us. And I'm very, very thankful for that as well. So, yeah, well said by you. And I know you don't want to make this a 3-hour conversation or anything like that. So we're going to get to these defensive tackles, but we're always transparent with our audience. And I think it is the most important thing that we are not going anywhere.
Yeah, I don't know what the future of, the media side of things is at PFF. I do know there are still some really good people and some people I really hold dear as friends that are still there. And I understand that a lot of people are, angry about what happened. Part of me is as well. But there are still really good people that are working there. And so just think about that as well. It's a situation that I think is just tough for a lot of people. And I'll probably tell more stories about, the last couple of years and everything throughout the course of not this specific show, but NFLSE. We'll probably talk about that a little bit. But the golden age of PFF, man, so much fun. Just so much fun with all those people. And I had a blast working with all of them. So shout out to all of them, the people that have moved on already, the people that are still there, the people that are looking for work. I think that Pro Football Focus really did change how people talked about football.
There's no denying that.
Yep.
Total disruptor of the space.
And it was cool to be a little part of it. It really was. So let's dig into this.
A little credit. We got some monster super chats, by the way.
Do we?
Monsters.
Okay, if you see them, let's
we are gonna,
read some.
as a reminder, we are gonna get to. So Mags gave us $200. Thank you, Mags.
Oh my goodness.
Unfortunately,
Andrew.
I can't stay on the live. Dumb work, but I want to drop by and thank you for being a great analyst and more importantly, an A+ human. The Army of Addicts will support you wherever you go. Proud of you, man.
Thank you, Andrew. I appreciate it, man. I appreciate that.
It's pretty
cool. I really do. Anthony, I see this one, $100 super chat. Trevor, you're a superstar. Thank you and Connor for all the times that you kept me entertained for free while I didn't have any money to spend on other things. You guys rule. I truly can't wait to see what you do next. I appreciate you both so much. Well, hopefully you still enjoy the content because like I said, we got a lot more of it coming. We're going to do a lot more of that. Wisco, another $100 super chat. Trevor, cheers to you in your next chapter. You too, Sam, Steve, Mike, Austin, deepened my love for football. In-depth analysis of players and the game. Chef, you need to look up my super chat from the last episode to get a killer nickname for Christian Miller. We actually probably do need a killer name for Christian Miller because that's a good segue into getting this kicked off here. Again, I promise we will read all the super chats at the end of the episode, but I think that's a good way to get it kicked off here because Christian Miller, we're not going to talk about him here this second, but later in the show, a good football player. Good football player, not getting enough recognition. So, Connor, let's see the beautiful falling face graphic that the chef always cooks up here for
there
us.
There I am, cheesing hard.
6 to 10. Tell the people who you got ranked 6 to 10.
10. A man that is approaching Jalen Catalon summer scouting lore. DeMonte Capehart from Clemson.
It's true.
He is a 6th-year player, all 6 at Clemson. The man just enjoyed his time there.
Hey.
9. Yeah.
Loyalty. Can't teach it these days, folks.
You really can't. 9, Albert Regis from Texas A&M. 8, Darrel Jackson Jr. from Florida State. 7, a summer favorite of mine that unfortunately dealt with a significant ankle injury this year, but did come back. Tim Keenan, the big nose tackle, 2 gapping run stopper from Alabama. And 6, one of our all-time favorite nicknames, Big Citrus, Dom Orange from Iowa State. Another guy that's just an absolute mountain against the run.
So let's show my 6 through 10 as well. I also had the Big Citrus, Domonique Orange at number 6. I got Chris McClellan from Missouri at 7. Lee Hunter is at 8 for me. I know we'll have a good Lee Hunter conversation here coming up. Brother, I'm proud of you, but I'm not surprised because you know ball, and you got Albert Regis in the top 10.
Ball player.
You know ball.
He's lunch pail ball player.
Dude, when I saw Albert Regis on your list, I was like, I thought I was going to go wax poetic myself about this player, but I'm very glad that we're united with him in the top 10 here. I got Darrel Jackson Jr. rounded out at number 10 for Florida State. Do you want to start by talking about Albert Regis? I feel like with an intro like that, we should probably start with him. So I'll let you kick it off here. Obviously, DT9 for both of us. A little bit on the smaller side. He's 6'1",
he's a tree stump.
295 pounds. And so the measurables are, I think, a big reason why he hasn't made the jump to the NFL yet, with him being a redshirt senior coming out this season. But there's a lot to like about who this guy is as a dirty work type of defensive player. So I'll let you talk a little bit about Regis here.
That's exactly right. He is somebody that, he just is so tough in the trenches, play after play. 6'1", 295, shorter arms, tested really well. I mean, the 4.88, 8.8 40, 34-inch vert, 9.8 broad. So he's got the initial explosiveness and chase speed. I just wrote down, this is a guy that just truly brings his hard hat against the run. And A&M asked a lot of this guy considering his measurables. I mean, Albert Regis is playing nose tackle plenty of snaps.
And at 295.
At 295. We're going to talk about players today that played nose tackle and kicked out to end closer to 330. So Regis he's got that like kind of lightweight in a heavyweight arena vibe at times at true nose, and he held his own. His you see with the height, and it translates to his pad level. His pad level's low. He digs under blockers. He plays with inside hands. The testing goes back to his ability to get off the ball. I think he's explosive off the ball. Like that is, and it really, really helps him gain instant leverage with that first strike. And back to those times, like 90th percentile 40, 93rd percentile vert, 95th percentile broad jump. He's not going to give you much as a pass rusher. It's just as simple as that. You see the win rate right there. He's just not a pass rusher, and he doesn't have any length. So blockers consistently land on him. He's not somebody that when he gets off the ball, it's like, okay, I'm going to keep blockers off of me and kind of wiggle my way or weave my way to the quarterback. It's more, man, I'm like a grizzly bear in a wrestling match every play. And I'm just going to kind of scratch and claw through you and not be moved at the point of attack to stop the run. Now, he's sub 300 pounds, and he played in the SEC against some big offensive lines. There's times, and you're not going to hear this for everybody today, but double teams knock him off balance. Like there's some 330-pound players that they don't move off of double teams.
Right.
For how hard-nosed and tough Regis is as a run defender, I just don't think he has the mass to and that goes back to him. He shouldn't be a nose tackle. That's not fair to Albert Regis. But if you need, Trev, I think like a 3-4 defensive end that's playing on early downs, this is somebody that he is so tough. He just does the little things that make his teammates around him better. And you think of all the A&M rushers that have been in this defense the last 2 years that he has cleared a lot of space for. I'm clearly with you all the way. It's easy to go to bat for Albert Regis in your rotation.
Somebody said egregious Regis as the nickname there for him. Somebody else said Regis. Is he similar to Poona Ford? A little bit. Like I can definitely see how you get there with Poona Ford, who's a really great run defender. Now Ford,
I think Poona was a little bigger.
He is. Heavier. Yes. Because he was
306 at the combine, 5'11". That is a short king.
That is the Maurice Jones-Drew of nose tackles.
Perfect.
That's the build that we're talking about here. Yeah, Poona Ford's great, but I agree with you. You know, normally when you look at players who, you know, Regis, what was his arm length?
I think 31 3/4.
Yeah, because it wasn't long.
31 5/8.
31 5/8, which is 8th percentile. And then, oh, that's hand size. I thought that was wingspan. So yeah, 8th percentile arm length. Normally, when you talk about guys who are limited when it comes to that length, you don't want to put them in odd front defensive end situations. But I agree with you. This is the exception. Do I think that Albert Regis is going to be like a consistent full-time starter in the NFL? No, probably not. But is this going to be a guy who, when the second contract comes around, is he going to be in that next tier group where, you know, coaches will go to the front office and say, you need to re-sign this player? This player raises the floor of what our defensive line can do. I absolutely think that. I think he could play as a 3 technique, a run-stopping 3 technique, obviously, like you mentioned. I think he could survive a little bit at nose tackle, and then I can also think that he'd play in odd fronts too. So I like Albert Regis a lot. You're right. He made a lot of his teammates some money with how he played over the last couple of seasons. So that's Albert Regis for us. We got him at number 9. Where'd you have Darrell Jackson Jr.? You had him at 8. I had him at 10. So let's talk about Darrell Jackson Jr. next.
Yeah, Darrell Jackson Jr., I believe we went pretty in-depth on during summer scouting as well.
Because he was getting like top 40 hype.
Yeah, you're right. He was, because this is kind of what you hope that a high-end defensive tackle looks like, man. 6'5 and a half, 315 with almost 35-inch arms and the catcher's mitts hands, like 11-inch hands. That's pretty nuts. This is a redshirt senior who has had stops at Maryland and Miami, obviously has played at Florida State the last couple of years. You know, a little higher box score production in 2024 than 2025. He is high effort when his motor is running hot in terms of the heavyweight blows that he can strike. Like, it's just, because you look at the size of him and you look at his hands, he can really, really knock blockers backwards. The biggest issue I had with him...
He's got 11-inch hands.
Massive hands.
The man puts hands on you, and it's like covering half the damn chest.
Yeah, and he moves people that way. Where he gets in trouble is his pad level at his height just runs high. And when you look at the measurables on paper, and like, this guy probably is a force. And there's plays where he is. But, Trevor, I thought that there was also a lot of lowlights, because when blockers got under him, they actually were able to control him at the point of attack with leverage.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, more than you think, for sure.
It was surprising. I thought he was a good player this year, don't get me wrong, and there's a reason I have him where I do in the rankings. But I guess I was expecting him to be a borderline dominant force in stretches, and I didn't see that consistently once again because of the pad level.
I felt like you and I were lower on him than initial consensus going into the season, because we've talked about this on this show. Summer scouting, the lens that you view these guys through and the rankings that we do are different than when we do them sort of as early or final rankings. When it came to Darrell Jackson Jr., I could understand that a lot of people were very, very excited about him, given the fact that he's built like the Incredible Hulk. Like, he's just a giant dude on that defensive line. So I could understand sort of how people were getting there with the top 50 and the top 40 hype. But I never felt as though his play was, one, consistent enough, and two, I think it's hard to criticize a guy who's nearly 6'6", 315 for like not being twitchy. But there are times where I just don't feel like he plays with that like speed to power twitch at all times, where he's like converting that hulkish strength that he has. I just don't see that conversion as often as I wish I did, especially because, like you said, he's naturally going to lose the leverage battle against a lot of these players. Now, when he does get the pads as low as he can, when he does get the hands up and inside, I mean, he's bulldozing you. I mean, you don't have a prayer. Some of these guards are hanging on for dear life.
They look fun.
Dude, yeah. I mean, they're getting taken for a ride. It's like they're a human sled when he's going against him.
That's what it looks like, is exactly right. It's human sled.
He's got the versatility, because he's got the size and the strength to play anywhere from a 4-eye defensive end in an odd front to that like 0 and 1 shade nose technique alignment. So I think in that regard, he is going to be valuable simply because you can't teach how big this guy is. I just don't think he's going to be a player that's going to consistently pop for you. To me, again, the reason why he's back into this and even behind Albert Regis, who he's a lot bigger than, is because I kind of view them as the same sort of trajectory to the NFL, but Regis makes a bigger impact. Like, Regis has the higher run defense grade. I believe he had the higher solo run stop percentage. I believe he's even more versatile in sort of that first step explosiveness that you were talking about. So Jackson, to me, and I think the way that you've got to talk about him now is what you see is what you get. He is a supersized, versatile defensive lineman who wins with power, and he's just not going to be very much finesse. Like, there's not going to be a lot of his finesse game that you can rely on. Maybe in flashes here and there, but I think at that point in time, it's kind of what you see is what you get there. And that, to me, is much closer to a fringe top 100 type of a player than somebody who you'd be taking in the top 50 like he was once projected to go.
What do we got next on the board here?
You can talk about Capehart. You want to talk about Capehart?
It's funny. If you've listened to this podcast long enough, you've heard about Capehart for 3 different years. But, I have to say to Capehart, who 6th-year player at Clemson, the big knock on him that I think has been fair is they have treated his snap count, hilariously low the years leading up to this. Mm-hmm. And he finally was able to legitimately be part of the rotation. He's a massive human. You see him play true nose, shade nose. He has a presence in the middle of the field. He's got long arms. He's almost got 34-inch arms, big hands, 10.25-inch. Runs the ridiculous 4.85 40-yard dash at his size, which is, there's a reason this guy was a top 50 recruit out of IMG in 2019. Like, this is a pretty unique athlete at his size. When you look at the tape, it's more of the same of what it's been, but the good news is he's played more. You said this about Jackson, like with the human sled. He has flashes of power that he just totally bench presses undersized centers off of their feet and controls them like they're children. He could like it's Pop Warner, where he'll just totally move them off the point of attack and throw them aside with ease. He does a good job also, I think, keeping his pads down and driving his legs when playing the run. Like, he really utilizes his lower half to maximize his power. And I think something he does that it doesn't show up in the box score, because he's obviously not a big box score production guy, when he drives blockers back at the point of attack, he's really good at redirecting running backs into bad lanes, into a teammate. Obviously this defense has a lot of talent. So he's someone that his disruption off the ball against the run can redirect running backs into really bad decisions because they have to. Now, you look at why you don't hear a lot about him. It goes back to he just didn't play a lot of snaps leading up to this year. Like 246 in 2022 and 2023 combined. Mm-hmm. So he didn't even get to 300 snaps across those 2 seasons. Then 246 total in 2024. And then he got his snap count up to 333 this year. Clearly, Clemson knows, like, he needs stamina-wise to have a very, very limited role to be effective. And he is effective as a run-stopping nose tackle that is hard to move off the line of scrimmage. But at the end of the day, in terms of the pass rush plan, it's just power, right? It's predictable straight line power. Right. He just knows he's usually stronger than a lot of the interior blockers he went up against. There's not much nuance or creativity. So this is a rotational run-stopping nose tackle that it feels like could have been a great defensive tackle, but just hasn't had that kind of stamina to develop beyond that on top of his pass rush. But it almost swung too far away, where I think he's going to be a good NFL run defender. I really do.
Yeah, I'm not sure what to think of Capehart, and I have him outside of my top 10. Obviously, he's not in my top 5, so he's not on my list. He tested really, really well, and in a way where I was not expecting this from him. His height's 84th percentile for defensive tackles. His weight 70th. His arm length was 73rd. His hand size was 74th. 73rd percentile 10-yard split. 93rd percentile, a 4.85 at 313 pounds. Vertical jump 91st percentile. Broad jump was a little less at 59th percentile, but tested very, very well as an athlete. The problem is that Connor, I saw the combine and I was like, whoa, okay, has this guy got more juice than I expected? turn back on the tape, and there are times when you see it, just like you see a little glimpses of it, but you just don't see the whole package. Like, he doesn't turn, like you talked about him being a run stuff and rotational type of a defensive lineman. Numbers like we saw at the combine should have told you that this guy's got juice as a pass rusher. But it's like the first step doesn't really turn into fast hands and twitchy movements and fast hip and like flipping the hips and just getting around.
It's just fast.
Like, it's just
fast.
It's just kind of, which is really funny to say about a guy who's 315.
I'm telling you, he is just track fast.
He is. He's kind of track fast. You know, the Olympics might need to get on this. I don't know if they got a heavyweight category, but if they end up, you know, dividing it up a little bit here, like wrestling categories, we might need to get in on this to get a gold for the country here. But late breakout player, the athleticism doesn't show up as a pass rusher. I think he's certainly a draftable player. Like, he's a day 3 player, and I can't see exactly what you're talking about him being a rotational guy. I know us saying like, oh, he's draftable. It's kind of the kiss of death here on this show, but I do think that Capehart
I once said that about Bucky Irving, so maybe not.
Whoops. Yeah, he's draftable.
Yeah, you can draft him, see what happens.
Look, you weren't wrong. He was draftable.
He was draftable.
Yeah. Come after him. Go ahead. Put Connor in court. See what happens.
Yeah.
Tell
me how I was wrong.
Peter in the chat said, high measurables and an RAS guy. Sounds like a Chicago Bear. He actually kind of does sound like a Chicago Bear. I actually do think that would be the case. Ross had some. Where was Ross? Ross said, I ran a 4.8 flat in 40-yard dash in high school at sub 180 pounds. Hearing about a 315-pounder moving that fast is a different kind of physics.
He can absolutely fly. I mean, he's always been a very, very gifted player, and it felt like it took him a little while to get going at Clemson after being a big recruit. And then, once again, they just had to limit his role for him to be effective.
Yeah. Okay, so who's next on the list? Who should be next? Should we go... Probably McClellan. Right?
I definitely want to hear you talk about McClellan.
Dude, I really liked McClellan.
Speaking of catchers, Mitt's hands.
Yeah, I mean, McClellan is sort of the same conversation to me that we had with Albert Regis. McClellan's just bigger. Like, McClellan is 6'4", which is 72nd percentile, 313, 70th, 11-inch hands, 97th percentile, and then 34-inch arms. That's 78th percentile, all for the defensive tackle spots. He is a super strong dude. I think he's got more than adequate size to play at a couple of different spots in the NFL, but Missouri mainly had him as a 3 technique. When he played at nose, he wasn't as effective, despite the fact that I'm going to praise him here as a very strong run defender. When they played him at nose, he didn't look as comfortable. So to me, he's probably either like a 3-4 defensive end, or he's a 3 technique type of alignment player that's still more focused on stopping the run. So that's probably not your starting 3 tech, because your starting 3 tech, you're probably going to want a little bit more pass rush from him, because his pass rush win percentage was only 7.2%, which is 34th percentile, and the win percentage on true pass sets was only a 69.9. Came from the University of Florida, so I'm going to claim it. Gator great. Played 2 years at Florida before transferring over to Missouri, and he was a full-time starter for them for the last couple of seasons. When he's locked in on the bull rush, so good leverage, good hands, really gets guys moving. I think that's his main method of pushing the pocket and really pass rushing, but there just wasn't a ton after that. The massive hand size that you talked about there and that I referenced as 97th percentile, that shows up, man. I mean, when Chris McClellan puts his bare paws on you, you watch linemen be like, boom, like they jump back. They feel it. And that is it. We've talked about this here on this show, I think this year more than other years. Big hands as a defensive lineman and as a offensive lineman, that doesn't get talked about enough. Just the sheer size that you can have on putting your hands on somebody else and the control that you could get, the power and the pop that you could get. That's a Chris McClellan, I think, a talking point and strength point there with him. I don't think he gets moved back very easily, especially in single block situations. And I thought he was a pretty good athlete. When I watched him in pursuit, he seemed to get faster as he was getting closer to these ball carriers and the more of a pursuit lane that he had. So I think he's a pretty decent athlete overall. He's got the size to be versatile, and he is a pretty damn strong player. So that's why I like Chris McClellan a good amount as still that rotational run stuffing defensive lineman like most of the guys that we talked about here, but he's one of my favorites. He's one of the guys I'd prioritize.
No, it's a good call out. He's in that bucket on the fringe of the Regis and Capehart world for me, and a couple of guys that just missed the cut because, once again, the power and control that he could play with. So I was glad you got to him on the list today.
So then Big Citrus, and then we'll have the Lee Hunter conversation.
Yeah, Lee Hunter at 8. I'm excited to talk about that one.
Wait, you got to talk about Tim Keenan.
Oh, my guy.
Sorry, we curveballed the chef there. We gave him a Tim Wakefield knuckleball there, and he just didn't know what to do with it. But he recovered. Here, we got Tim Keenan on the board.
Tim Keenan, a large human, 6'1", 327 pounds, just a oak tree in the middle of the defense.
Young man's thick.
I mean, short arms, oddly small hands. 8 and 5/8-inch hands does not really make sense.
Whoa.
30-inch vert is pretty good at 327.
Actually,
that's like really
at 327.
That's actually kind of nuts. To be honest with you, people aren't
Young
talking about that
man's
enough.
Flying. What in the world?
That's you're right. What in the world is the perfect way to put it? That is kind of ridiculous.
I actually need the footage. Of this of him loading up, getting airborne at his size. I need to see this somewhere.
I mean, I wrote him up, and I was just like, man, he's that fire hydrant nose tackle, team captain for Alabama. I thought the film was excellent in 2024 with what he needs to be good at, which is digging in, battling against double teams. Violent club move is something on tape with that too. Like, he can really strike at blockers,
which I think you need when you have shorter arms, right? They truly needs
keep
to
them
act
off
like
you.
a club where you are hitting somebody.
That's right. He had the tightrope surgery in August of 2025, and I think that impacted him this year. He came back and he was fine, I think, but I thought he was just really, really impressive in 2024. He's the definition of a space eater at the highest form. He can hold up against multiple interior blockers. He constantly redirects the run. I think teams kind of respect his presence. I feel like teams, when he was on the field, treated Alabama differently, to be honest with you. And I get it. He doesn't have, wildly impressive pass rush win rates or anything. You see the 28th percentile over the last 2 years. But there's pocket pushing presence for me with him. His win rate in 2024 when the ankle was right was 10.6%. For a nose tackle, that's pretty high, actually, for a 330-pound nose tackle. I didn't see that at all this year, and I think it's the ankle. I think you can't generate that force to congest the pocket with an ankle injury. He kind of had to play more of a higher floor, two-gapping kind of game all the time. The chase speed is really slow. He's not going to be running sideline to sideline or anything like that, but he plays hard. He's really strong. I think he's a starter, honestly. He's probably not going till day 3 of the draft, but I think he's a starter at nose tackle 3 years from now on an NFL defense on early downs, especially if his pass rush from 2024 is mediocre. That's enough to put him on the field in that, we went back to Puna Ford, which is a really good call out. Mm-hmm. I'm a big believer in Tim Keenan, man. I am. I know this defensive line class we're a little lower on, the tackle class we're a little lower on, where DT7 in this class for me, Trev, is probably going in like the 5th round, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
I think Keenan's going to be a good NFL player, though, just not a flashy one.
Yeah, I mean, Keenan, you're right. I think his range is definitely the first 2 rounds of like a day 3.
Yeah.
But, I'm thinking of some teams that run that like true nose tackle odd front stuff. I mean, the Bills are moving more towards that odd front. I've had conversations with people about the Bills, maybe like Christian Miller is an option for them at 26, but you could wait later in the draft, and I think you can get a nose tackle type that you feel good about. I think the Chargers are a team that would love Tim Keenan, right? They could play him at that nose tackle
That's
spot.
a good call out.
The Falcons, man, get Ruka out of the nose. For the love of God.
Row the boat to 3 or 5 tech.
Please. For his own sake.
It's not fair to row.
It's not fair to him. Get him out of nose tackle. Draft Tim Keenan. That's my pitch here for Tim Keenan. Yeah, Tim Big Red Keenan. Yeah, I mean, he could be that for the Atlanta Falcons. That's what we need there. Somebody said that the earth shook when Tim Keenan jumped his vertical.
Definitely shook.
It might have.
the mile radius.
Ooh, somebody said Graham saying the Vikings as well. Oh, could potentially
They
be
do
the
need
Vikings.
another
They
D
need that.
tackle
Yeah,
like this.
Yeah.
The Vikings' run defense was disappointing at times last year.
Okay, Big Citrus. Let's talk Big Citrus.
Yeah. You want to run away with this one?
Sure.
Kick us off?
Let me pull up my notes here for Big Citrus. A summer scouting legend. I don't think there's any other way to say it. I mean, maybe has the biggest fan club of anybody that we have talked about throughout this entire draft process, just because how can you not with a nickname like Big Citrus? So Iowa State senior, just a shade under 6'2", 322 pounds. He's got big hands, over 10-inch hands, 74th percentile, and then pretty long arms as well, 58th percentile, above 50th percentile there for defensive tackles. When I read 33 and 5/8, I was like, oh, that's pretty good for a defensive tackle. But I guess, hey, big dudes in the NFL, which shouldn't be surprised about. So he was a former 3-star defensive lineman. He played 12 games his first year, started 5 the next year, started 7 the next year, full-time starter this past season. He was part of Bruce Feldman's freak list going into the college football season. And Bruce Feldman had this to say, quote, the 6'4", 325-pound Orange, who spent much of the offseason refining his diet, has benched 450 pounds, squatted 650, and power cleaned 365. He also had a vertical jump of 34 inches. When he was a senior in high school, he weighed over 400 pounds. That's how he got the nickname Big Citrus. So he has honed in his body to be a much more efficient right around 320 and 325. He's got a dense, thick frame, which anytime you have as much weight, certainly as above 350 pounds, and then you trim it down to 320, I mean, you've still got that strength and that muscle density to your body. You absolutely see that in how Big Citrus plays. He's got that good size and length combination to play as a nose tackle, a 3-tech, a 3-4 defensive end. And where do I have him listed? I think I have him listed as a nose tackle, but I could also certainly see him being a 3-4 defensive end.
He could do both
as well. Yeah. He's got a pretty explosive first step.
Yes.
Now after that, he's still a big boy, but the first step is what you want to see there for him. For most of his career, he has lacked finesse in that pass rush profile, 8.8, which is 58th percentile when it comes to the pass rush win percentage over the last 2 years, but he has gotten better in that regard. Really just want him to sort of be a little bit more creative as a pass rusher, and honestly, what I want to see from him is I want him to be the aggressor, and I thought this past season, he was more of the aggressor in situations than he was in 2024. Continue to be that. I mean, there are times when I felt like I was watching him go up against inferior interior offensive linemen, and he'd be like, okay, I got the hands up, I got the hands inside, all right, I'm peeking towards like where the ball is, but he wasn't really imposing the rep, and the guards were able to recover a little bit. They were able to get their feet underneath him. They were able to get some leverage and push him a little bit so that when the ball was coming his way, he wasn't ready to immediately stack and shed the block. I feel like there are reps where he does do that, and I feel like he could just do that more often. So Big Citrus to me is somebody who I think this is a mid to late day 2 type of a player. I think, somewhere in maybe the late second round, but I think much more likely he'll find a home in the 3rd round for a team. But very versatile defensive lineman. The motor runs hot for him. High effort player. Very good competitor. And I think teams are really going to like a player like this.
Yeah, man, I'm with you. He just wasn't healthy. He wasn't his 2024 version of himself this year. And because of that, he just clearly wasn't as disruptive. He's got really great natural strength and power. You brought up the alignment versatility, which is real. It's not one of those like, yeah, he could do it. No, he could be effective from defensive end all the way down to nose tackle.
Peter said the competitive citrus.
He is the competitive
citrus.
Citrus.
Wisco said future Packer. Could be. He is a Packers type.
That is a really, really good call out. I mean, he's got, going back to 24 more than this year, like, there is a bit of a pass rush plan for a big power player. He picks his spots when he wants to just push the pocket with speed to power versus, okay, I'm going to let a 2-hand swipe go here and try to swivel my way around into the pocket. But his run defense floor that he brings is why, and his pure strength is why he'll be drafted. I would agree with you, Trevor. I would imagine in the 3rd round, although it wouldn't shock me to go a little earlier. Mm-hmm. And he's another guy. These are big fellas. Like, when the gas tank hits E for Big Citrus,
Yeah, it's tough.
it's over.
I mean, he's 322.
It's almost funny. You're not even mad about it. You're like, yeah, I'd be tired too.
Yeah.
He's out there like, I gave you what I had, man. Come on now. As you see, he's played 914 snaps the last 2 years. I mean, that's
Right.
a lot of snaps for a defensive tackle. So,
No doubt.
yeah, Big Citrus, a favorite of this show and a solid prospect.
So let's move on to
Lee Hunter's the only one left on this.
top fives. I mean, I'm assuming that Lee Hunter is in your top 5.
Yeah, he's 5 for me, so this is
Okay.
easy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So this is an easy conversation.
Some people really like Lee Hunter.
I don't. I don't want to be like the biggest hater on him though. Like, I do you want to talk about Lee Hunter? You got him at 5. I got him.
Yeah,
at
I think you should. I'd want to hear your concerns because
Okay.
I have some of my own as well,
Sure.
considering having him at 5. I want to hear why it seems like you were a little surprised maybe.
Yes. So Lee Hunter, redshirt senior from Texas Tech. So he's been playing college football a decent amount of time. Now, measurables, pretty good. 6'3", just a shade under 6'4", honestly. 64th percentile. Weights at 318, 80th percentile. 53rd percentile arm length, 10th percentile hand size, but that's okay. It's hand size more of, in my opinion, a bonus than it is like a major thing that you would give a guy a negative for. He was a 4-star defensive tackle from Mobile, Alabama. Shout out the homecoming for him at the Senior Bowl. He played both offensive and defensive line when he was in high school. He committed to Auburn, redshirted his first year, so barely played when he was Auburn. Then he was out. Then he went to UCF, transferred to UCF in 2022, played in 13 games his first year there. Then he started 13 games in 2023. Played in 12 games with 10 starts in 2024. Then he transferred to Texas Tech in 2025, where he was a full-time starter for what was one of the best defensive lines in the country. He's got an interesting build. For as much as he's got good overall size to him, one of the negatives that I think is that he does carry a lot of weight above the waist instead of below the waist. Not that he doesn't have leg drive and leg power, but when you look at a guy who's right around 320 pounds, I feel like he does carry a lot of it sort of in the midsection rather than in his butt, the glutes, the hamstrings, the quads, what you really want to be able to get low and explode and sort of like hold the line of scrimmage on these offensive tackles. The splash plays for Lee Hunter, who I would say developed into more of a pass rusher during the second half of this past season, more so than he ever had throughout his college career. I think that those games are, I don't want to say they're fool's gold because I don't think that they are. But to me, I don't view the second half of his season this year as like, this is who Lee Hunter is moving forward. Like he is only going to get better.
Sure.
This is a next step in the ladder. I see it as they let him pin his ears back a little bit more. I'm not so sure he gets that same sort of treatment at the NFL level. You see the run defense grades. The run defense grades have been good for him over the last 2 seasons. But with my concerns about sort of the weight distribution and him really being able to anchor the way that he needs to at the NFL level, I have a little bit of concerns there as well. He tested very poorly at the combine. And
didn't really jump off the ground.
And let me get the numbers here.
21 and a half inch vert was what I was talking
21 and a half inch vert, that's first percentile, even for defensive tackles. 100-inch broad jump, that's 18th percentile. 1.79 10-yard split, 25th percentile. 5.18 40-yard dash, that's 29th percentile. And I'm going to be honest, I think that shows up in his film. I think there are moments from him where he times the snap right, he times the gap right, and he gets into the backfield. I think that Oregon game in the college football playoff is the one. What are you laughing at?
Colin in the chat said he couldn't jump over a piece of paper. That's too far.
Don't stack the paper too high. That's all we're saying here. But I think that Oregon game, when you go watch the highlights of how he played in the college football playoff against Oregon, you go, this is first-round defensive tackle.
Yeah.
You go, look at this guy's living in the backfield. But the BYU game, really concerning for me. I felt like he was a total non-factor in that game. I felt like he was getting pushed around, and there are too many times where I felt like, especially in attacking situations, that was the case. Go ahead.
Don't ask.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry, don't.
I see it. I see it.
I tried not to laugh because I wanted you to
You know
just get
what?
through
You know what? I'm just going to say that's why you watch the show live, folks. That's why you get into the chat. And so I just have I have a lot of I have a lot of concerns with Lee Hunter because I think people project him as a like one gap penetrating, like pass rusher type of a defensive lineman. And I don't think the majority of his college career he was that. And even as a run stuffer, again, I've got my worries about the pad level that he plays with consistently, being able to get off the ball the way that he needs to, that lack of explosiveness, which does go into that push to hold the line of scrimmage. And then, like I said, the weight distribution and the lack of weight that he has in the lower half. No, a lot of people are fans for Lee Hunter. I'm just going to be, I think, one of the more lower analysts when it comes to his overall pro outlook.
I think I fell somewhere in the middle with Lee Hunter. I like what the roots of his talent is, and that is being a big two-gapping kind of presence against the run, which is why I have him as defensive tackle 5 in a weaker defensive tackle class. I think he's going to come into the league and be able to show off some strength at the point of attack, be able to, once again, eat up some space. It was nice that he showed some pass rush flashes down the stretch and into the Senior Bowl that we really had not seen. But I'm with you, Trev, that I wonder if that is going to carry over at the next level. I'm not as hopeful. If I was, I'd probably value him as a top 3 to 4 defensive tackle in this class.
And a lot of people do. And a lot of people do.
I think those people that do, you're valuing him more as a top 40 pick because you're hopeful that the pass rush is going to keep ascending. Mm-hmm. I think there are a lot of more one-dimensional defensive tackles in this class, and I think he's a good run defender. I'm going to talk about some guys rated over him that can be a little one-dimensional, but I think they're elite run defenders. I think they're better athletes. I think they're stronger for their body weight, pound-for-pound strength. So, yeah, I think Lee Hunter will be solid, but I do see the same thing as you is like, man, it's tough to rush the passer in the NFL when you're not a great athlete. It's almost kind of unheard of, to be honest with you.
I agree with you. I'd probably see him in a similar range than you if I had more faith that he could be that run defender at the NFL level.
Dominant.
Yeah, but yeah. I think there are guys certainly that I like ahead of him that I had in these rankings here. So I just seem to have a lot more concerns about Lee Hunter than a lot of other people out there, but so be it. That's what the draft is all about, having some different opinions and seeing things a little bit differently. So let's go through your 1 through 5, because we just jumped right into that to save the suspense here. Well done, Chef. Well done playing that part of the show.
Yeah, so Lee Hunter was at 5, and then 4 is Peter Woods from Clemson. Okay. 3 is Caleb Banks from Florida. 3 is Christian Miller from Georgia, and 1 is Kayden McPounder from Ohio State.
Yeah, so I have a player here in my top 5 that you don't have in your top 10.
I think I know who it is, because I think it's going to be a very, very polarizing player.
So it's Zxavian Harris,
yeah,
the defensive lineman from Ole Miss.
He's built like Godzilla.
He is truly built like Godzilla. I mean, he is from Ole Miss. He's a senior this year. 6'8". Not even 6'7", folks. I can't even say that here. I'm going straight to 6'8", 99th percentile, 330 pounds, 91st percentile, 54th percentile when it comes to the hand size. 34 and 5/8 inch arms. He is a massive player, and the way that he played this past season, I was so impressed with who he was. So 4-star defensive lineman, committed to Ole Miss out of Canton, Mississippi. Played 13 games as a true freshman, started 7 games in 2023, started 3 games in 2024, and then he started all of the rest of his games in 2025. He has massive size. I mean, massive size to be able to play basically every single position on the defensive line. He actually uses his long arms and his length, where a lot of these other defensive tackles, sometimes they don't really know how to use it. He absolutely knows how to use that to his advantage. He gets off the ball quick. He uses that speed to power very quickly. He knows how to forklift and use that length to get offensive linemen on their heels. I think he's got some really impressive cross-face reps where he is just going right across the face of an offensive lineman to shoot a gap here. And especially for a guy who is 330 pounds, I have this in my notes, runs like a locomotive in a good way. I mean, when he starts his pursuit, I mean, you're terrified. You're getting rid of the ball. If you're the quarterback, you're getting rid of the ball as soon as humanly possible. I don't think his leg drive stalls out easy at all. I think he's really strong in the lower half. He's got a good motor for a player his size, specifically this past season. I thought he played at a whole different level this past season. He's got a high-waisted build that, makes it a little bit more of a chore for him to maintain leverage.
Yes.
Sometimes he'll give up the chest a little too easy, and it makes it easier for offensive tackles, or offensive linemen, I should say, to get their hands inside. He gets pushed around laterally. Like if he's engaged with somebody right in front of him and there's kind of a combo block where they're kind of like scooping and pushing him around, he sometimes has a tougher time to really anchor against that, which can sometimes be a core strength and just I'll say like an ancillary type of leg strength thing, maybe not the leg press or the squats or the deadlifts and things like that, but it's more of like, hey, we got to get stronger when it comes to those lateral movements, but I think that can help him there. Ultimately, I think that this is a really high potential and versatile defensive lineman. However, I think the reason why he's not talked about a lot in this class, and it is absolutely something that is worth talking about with him, is 2023, he was arrested for a DUI, and in 2024, he was arrested on charges of domestic violence. I could not find how either of those cases ended. I could not find how either of those cases ended, but I want to make sure that that is talked about in his scouting report, because that is an incredibly important thing. And if I was an NFL team, you better believe I'd be doing every bit of research possible to find out what happened in these situations. Because I say all the time, you're drafting people as much as you are players. So I loved it. I really, really, really was impressed with the tape of this person, but who Zxavian Harris is, and getting to the bottom of certainly these situations that are not to be taken lightly at all whatsoever, matter towards his scouting report.
Really glad you called that out at the end. It's going to be one of those where, once again, I tried. There wasn't a lot of public information on either, but multiple arrests in that level of time span for serious, charges or serious accusations,
of course,
is always it matters a lot. And so you have that, and you have a player that is a colossal human and needs to be monitored in terms of conditioning for that. Although he's played a lot of snaps the last 2 years, to be fair to him on that front, that he's played over 1,000 snaps. I couldn't find information. Is he hurt? Like, he didn't do anything. He just measured in. And I thought they had their pro day.
Oh, did they have their pro day already?
I could have swore they had their pro day, and the system I have, there's nothing listed for him. So that's a little strange. I understand there's going to be things that don't go the way of a 330-pound human. Like maybe you didn't want to do the 3-cone or anything like that. But yeah, so I couldn't find information on that. And then the fact is, like, he's huge. He's got long arms. He's got flashes of brilliance. But his hands have no refinement. Like he's just throwing them out there, in my opinion. Sure. Where it was like, man, you've been playing a lot of college football now. There was just a lot of red flags piling up with him where physically, of course, it is insanely easy to look at this guy and be like, my goodness, like, yeah.
I liked his tape more than a lot of the players that get talked about in this class in the defensive line, but wanted to make sure, first and foremost, it is figuring out what happened in these situations and who he is as a person, because that matters. That matters the most. That matters the most. These are these are the sort of like red flags things where it's like, I don't care how good of a football player you are. If you look into these things and there's truth to them, yeah, I mean, he's going to be off a lot of teams' boards. But how he played this past season was really good. So figured it was worth bringing him up here on this show. But okay, so you have Peter Woods then at 4?
Peter Woods is at 4, as do you.
I have Peter Woods at 4 as well. I think we were getting to the Peter Woods conversation.
Yeah.
I think there are people who have Peter Woods as their top defensive tackle in the draft. I think that there are people who have Peter Woods as a top 20 player, top 15 player. Does he go 10 overall to the Bengals? I don't see as much of those mocks anymore. But
no.
What do you think about Peter Woods here?
It's a tricky one, man, because over summer I liked him a lot. I saw a disruptive player. I mean, I'll pull back some of the summer notes. Like, I thought there's a quick first step. He gets off the ball with low pad level. It turns out he's 6'2.5", so he's not as. I thought he was a little taller than that. So naturally, he has the low pad level. There was more flashes of just raw power and strength, I thought, that year. They move him up and down the line of scrimmage. So you got to see him set a hard edge when he needed to play on the edge. And he had enough burst to play on the edge, but I thought he was I thought he was at least 300 pounds, and he's sub 300 pounds. He was a really, really disruptive pass rusher in 2024. He had a 14% pass rush win rate. And then you see combined with 2025, it goes down to 10.3%. So his win rate fell off a cliff this year. It's just, to me, one, he is not physically impressive down by down against the run. Like, there's a lot of times where he wants to shoot a gap or slip a block to defend the run. And it's just hard to live that way in the NFL all the time if you're going to be expected to play the amount of snaps he's going to do, right?
Yeah.
So there's that. And he'll gamble. Like, he doesn't play. I don't think he's responsible as a run defender is how I'd put it. He looks for the splash play sometimes, and he gets in trouble because of that. And he'll kind of let the back get by him. Because gap integrity is what I was chasing throughout that entire rant. But here's my biggest problem right now with Peter Woods is, like, the play fell off from 2024 to 2025, right? It felt like Clemson, not for all their guys, but when they lost and things didn't go the way they thought to start the year, it felt like the win was knocked out of their sails for some of the guys. Understandably, you were expected to compete for the college football playoff. You had huge expectations with all this NFL talent. I get it. But, like, man, you're going to lose in the NFL a lot. You're going to lose a lot in the NFL. And I just didn't see the same disruptive force. I'm drafting Peter Woods to rush the passer and to be a capable run defender. I don't need him to be an all-world run defender. I wanted to see an athletic explode off the ball, constantly win gaps, kind of shoot through the A-gap between centers and guards, swim move, all of that. You don't have a testing and measurables process that boosts your stock. You're coming off a season that was wildly disappointing. I'm having him D-tackle 4 because that player from 2024 still has to be in there, Trev. And the right coach and right scheme can get through to him for that. But there is just no denying there's a giant risk if you're taking him with a top 20 to 25 pick.
I also just, like, I don't know, like, I'm trying not to let this sway my opinion too much, but, like, I just don't love the offseason that he had, right? I mean, shows
no,
at
it
the
was
combine,
bad.
You're sub 300, you don't do anything, you wait to the pro day, you kind of have like a cherry picking pro day. I don't know, man. Tape is.
Think of this, not to cut you off, unless there was an injury that I missed, which whatever. I mean, TJ Parker had the same exact questions, right? Same exact questions. TJ Parker was a force in 2024. What happened in 2025? TJ Parker went to the Senior Bowl and kicked some ass. At least.
Yeah, he did.
Like, where it was like, oh, yeah, that's TJ Parker. I mean, maybe he's not a top 15 pick, but he's still a good football player. I feel like Peter Woods, after the season where you're waiting for the bounce back, kind of just stayed on the same course the whole time.
Peter Woods' entire evaluation, it feels like an enigma, because you have a lot of people who have kind of just been waiting, who were like waiting the whole year for at least like one or two takeover games. Like, oh, just give me one or two. Clemson was bad this year. Just give me one or two takeover games. And that never happened. It just never really happened with him. I think that he's got really nice athleticism for his size.
Yeah.
Well, I should say, like, flexibility. Like, I think that he's kind of like an all-around, like, natural athlete.
He sometimes swivels around shoulders.
He does. So he's got some fluidity to who he is at his size, even sub 300 pounds. He's still around 300 pounds. He's got a ton of experience in his college career now, rushing from a 2-point stance, a 3-point stance. He can play anything from a nose to a 5. He's played it all for Clemson's defensive line. I think that he does have that good first step to him. He can turn the tight corners, like you mentioned. Like the shoulders and the hips can turn pretty quickly. But even as a run defender, I'm glad that you brought this up. I feel as though his run defense reps were more often about just sort of shooting gaps than necessarily holding the line of scrimmage. Now, there are reps. It's not like they don't exist. There are reps of him, standing somebody up, being on the line of scrimmage strong. I'm not saying that those don't exist. I'm saying that there's a lot of flash and there's a lot more inconsistency than I wish that there was for Peter Woods. So we've talked about this a little bit when we've gone through the mock draft episodes, not a lot of places that I love Peter Woods in the first round. I'm just going to be honest with you. I think Peter Woods is a day 2 player. That's where I would be comfortable taking him. But it feels like, maybe you have to sneak him into that first round if you really want a player of that talent. When we Brett Coleman has talked before about hey, Houston feels like the perfect spot for him because he's in that attacking front that Houston has there. And he gets to be sort of that one gap penetrating defensive lineman, interior defensive lineman. But to me, it's just, Feldman's freak list. He was on there. He said this offseason, Woods benched 490 pounds, did 34 reps at 225, squatted 700 pounds, power clean 385, ran a 4.86 40-yard dash, and vertical jumped 33 inches. Where was this at the combine? Show us. Show us you're that athlete. Because we didn't see a lot in 2025. And it's kind of gutsy to say, hey, yeah, just go watch the 2024. What do you mean go watch the 2024? You played in 2025. You weren't hurt. So, I think that Woods, to be honest with you, Connor, is just going to be on my list of guys where I go, I think I'm going to let somebody else draft him, especially for where he's probably going to go. If you have the opportunity to draft Peter Woods back end of the second round, early part of the third round, yeah, of course, I'm back in. I'll take a chance on a player like that, no question about it. But if we're having a late first round conversation with Peter Woods, I would kind of be pretty comfortable saying hey, you know what? You draft him. If I'm wrong and he's great for you, so be it. That's on me. But I think that's kind of just where I am with him and what has been a frustrating year to try to evaluate a player with a really high talent ceiling.
I think what's tough, too, that I want to be fair to Peter Woods on is, because he's still in our top 5s, 4 for both of us, is that he had tape in 2024 where we were talking about this guy as a top 10 pick. So, that's... the expectations are almost dangerous, right? Mm-hmm. And when you don't replicate that, it's going to make things sound worse than they are, I think. Because imagine if he didn't have that season and we were talking about, once again, the state of an early round 2 player is still a damn good prospect by NFL standards. But there was no denying that this was a fall off this year compared to expectations.
I think we need to address the hot name in the chat. And that's a player that neither of us had in our top 10. And that's Gracen Halton, the defensive tackle from Oklahoma. I don't have a graphic on Gracen Halton just because we didn't have him on our top 10s. But I was curious if you were going to have him because there are people that are really big fans of Gracen Halton. And I get it, especially in a defensive tackle class where like you said, DT7 might be a 5th rounder this year. So the defensive tackle class, just overall, the grades aren't as high. So I could totally understand people being like, hey, you know what? Let me just take a chance on Gracen Halton. But to me, he's small. He's just small. He's 36th percentile in height, 19th percentile in weight, 4th percentile in arm length. He's just small. Is he a frenetic pass rusher? Does he have that great quickness? Can he get the cross-face moves in there? Can he really be a one-gap penetrator, somebody who could really get into the backfield? Yes, and that's what he was for Oklahoma.
Right.
I just don't know if there's going to be nearly as many of those opportunities in the NFL where he's not going to get bullied by somebody. Guards, centers, they're quicker, they're stronger, they're everything. And the competition level, even from the SEC, jumps up to the NFL. And so I think Gracen Halton and Caleb Proctor were the next 2 guys on my list that just missed out on my top 10 because I think both of those guys are really intriguing as 3 technique, just go up the field and get into the backfield and go get the quarterback options for you. But that player plays a lot less most of the time than a lot of the stronger run defending guys that you can rotate in on a little bit more of a regular basis.
Yeah, I mean, we probably saw him eye to eye. I thought, and it's funny to compare him to this player because this player went in the top 60, but he was kind of like Mike Hall Jr., who was a top 60 pick for the Browns in 24.
Mike Hall Jr. was a top 60
Yeah,
pick.
Mike Hall Jr. went 54th overall.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I forgot that.
Yeah.
Damn.
So he reminded me of him. 6'2.5", 293, short arms, explosive. No denying he's explosive. My concerns were just that the lowlights are tough, man. Like,
yeah, I agree.
The lowlights in a phone booth are this guy is going to get folded if he's in a phone booth playing the run.
Yeah.
Or if NFL blockers get hands on him. He's a one gap penetrator. He's got a good quick first step. He's got the quickness where some O-line might not be able to get to him, cut him off, reach block him. But it's just so scheme specific that it definitely hurt him in my rankings.
T. Sauter said, Halton small, so are you, Trev. Owned. It's true.
But Trev is not being evaluated to play defensive tackle in the NFL, despite a lot of reports.
Peter said Trevor's calling him undraftable. Hit the gym and hit Chipotle, buddy. Let me tell you, though, real talk,
oh boy,
there's nothing like you and a buddy hitting a strong chest day, and then there's a Chipotle within the same strip mall right there. There's nothing like it. Nothing.
That
like
was the home from college break tradition.
Yeah.
Like, I haven't seen my friends. Let's go get a lift. That while we're home, hit Chipotle after. Yeah. You're right. It's a top 10 feeling of life.
Is. There's nothing like it. There's nothing more motivating. I don't even need pre-workout on those days that I know that's happening.
Just get me there.
Right. Just get me there, and I'll do the rest. I'll PR. I'll probably PR at that point because you got to make sure that the protein is worth it. I'll just casually PR here.
So, let's get back to the top 3.
Yeah. Where we at?
We are. This is where we have a little bit of a difference.
All right, you got McPounder at 1. I got McPounder at 3. Let's talk about him. I think we'll talk about Christian Miller next, and then I think we should round it out with the Caleb Banks discussion because I think it's an important one.
Kayden McDonald's fascinating because he's a very unsexy DT1.
Whoa!
Yes.
Whoa! Come on.
On tape.
Wait, we're not body shaming here.
Not aesthetically.
Whoa.
Just on the all 22. You see the run defense grade there and the 99th percentile run stop percentage. He's a one-man run defense, man. The first thing I wrote is he's as wide as a door frame. You turn on the tape and it's not easy to.
No, it's true.
It's easy to find him.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, there's Kayden McDonald taking up the space of 2 players at nose and shade nose.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of the more enjoyable scouting report notes I wrote. He holds the point of attack against double teams better than Hodor holding the door.
Damn.
It is like.
What a reference.
There are linemen just hitting him, striking him. Here comes the double team. Here comes the third body. And he just digs his cleats into the ground and is like, I am not giving up the point of attack. I refuse.
Dude. What an elite comp.
I mean, I loved it. I was like, oh, this guy is fighting for his life against as many people. And it's a numbers game, as you always say, Trev. Like, when you're allocating so much attention to him in the middle of the field just to run the damn football, in this case, it's like, cool, there's Sonny Styles and Arvell Reese. Have fun with that. But also, in the NFL, it's going to matter a lot. So I understand that there was no the pass rush production thing is weird, and here's why.
Snoopy said Mick Hodor.
Mick Hodor. I don't know if that could stick, but man, Hodor McPounder, Hodor Meat Pounder is crazy, says Charlie.
Meat Pounder. All right, pass rush. Yes, I didn't mean to. Sorry.
No, it's
his
okay.
Pass rush.
The way he started the year, I was like, we might have at least something here. Mm-hmm. Where listen, it's not art, but it's just pure power. Once again, congesting and pushing the pocket. But he had a stretch, and I'm pulling it up right now just to double confirm it. He had a stretch this year, basically the entire second half of the season, from week 8, which was at Wisconsin, all the way down to essentially the playoff game against Miami. He wasn't really on the map as a pass rusher.
Right.
He didn't generate essentially any pressures. I think in the Indiana game, he had some effort rushes where he kind of fell into Mendoza. Mendoza was running around with his head down, and he kind of just ran into McDonald standing there.
Yeah, I mean, if he's standing in front of the door frame, like you said, you got nowhere to go.
So it's weird. I think in this draft specifically, he could be a first-round pick because he could just significantly alter the look and the effect of your run defense in a way that is so hard for one player to simply do. That I like him a lot. I feel it is absolutely a comfy ranking. Like, I just don't see a world where McDonald is not a good NFL player. Mm-hmm. But I will be the first to say my DT1 is totally limited as a pass rusher, which is, it feels weird, but it kind of speaks to this class.
Yeah, I think that's the important part of the conversation is exactly what you said there, and that this is important to know about this class. You are taking Kayden McDonald just because you go,
nobody does.
Give me the guy who I know is going to play at the NFL level. And, he's not for every single team. He's not going to be for every single team, but you are having faith in who this guy can be at the NFL level because you're not worried about the strength. You're not worried about the size. You're not worried about the power that he plays with. I mean, a 90.5 run defense grade for him and a 12.4 solo run stop percentage, that's 99th percentile. The pass rush is what it is, like you mentioned. Like, you just don't expect him to be a good pass rusher. Now, some people would tell you we don't take that in the first round, but that's fine. Late first, early second, whatever, man. If you think that this guy is able to be a boulder for you in the middle, if he truly is the NFL version of Hodor, this is a top 40 player in this specific class. So I would agree with you there. Yeah.
I'll say this, and I hate this because it feels like a cop-out, but, I mean, you can go back to summer scouting and watch how I felt about him then. If Caleb Banks was healthy this year, he could have been the runaway DT1 in this class. Runaway.
Yeah.
It's just... And I was starting to buy all the way back in when he showed up to the Senior Bowl. And by day 2, it was like Caleb Banks is getting comfortable again and looking like Caleb Banks. Mm-hmm. But it's like massive dude with foot injuries. We're going to have a full convo about him. There's so much to like, but there is some big concerns that are just so hard to predict.
Yeah. Well, we're going to have that. We might as well have that right now. Well, before we do, the chef's going to be really mad at me if I don't do this. Folks, we're on the campaign for 75K followers here on this show. We appreciate all the support that you guys have given over the years of NFLSE, when we were with PFF, and now, obviously, when we're not fully independent, doing our own thing, and we would love for you to be part of the Addicts. We're trying to get the 75K subs by the time the draft rolls around. It's a lofty goal, but this is what we do around here. If you've loved the show, any show that we have done, we'd love for you to subscribe, come back, hang out with us. We appreciate you guys. Also, somebody said that my hat is glowing. We do have some hats left. It doesn't glow.
Very white.
It does not glow.
It's a nice hat.
But we do have some hats still available. Just type in Shopify and then NFLSE, and the link will come up. You guys will be able to see it. So next shipment of hats is going out later this week, just so anybody that has ordered them over the last week and a half, they are coming out this week, so you guys will get those. And if you have any issues with your orders or anything, NFLSEshow@gmail.com is the best way to get in contact with us there. Thankfully, haven't had many of those at all over the 650 hats that we've sent off. But if you have any issues, let me know from that email or to that email. Let's talk about Caleb Banks. Let's do the Caleb Banks conversation next, because I was talking to a good friend of the program, John Ledyard, who is going through defensive tackles as well. Him and Ollie do a great job on the Audibles and Analytics podcast, covering everything about football, but specifically the draft around this time of year. And John's a psycho. He's a father of two and a husband, so he's got to wake up at 3 a.m. to watch prospects before the kids wake up.
That's
and everything.
What GM does that? Is it DaCosta?
I don't remember who it is, but Ledyard will text me at 3:30 a.m. and he'll be like, "Man, Rayshon Benny, he's got some really nice run defense reps." And I'm like, "Brother, go to bed. What are we doing here?"
Damn, I'm the opposite. I'm not awake at that time, but I'm much closer to being awake at that time than being up for the day.
You're saying as a night owl?
Yes,
night owl. So you're going the other way around. I think, that's. Oh, man, these days.
I know it's getting harder. We're
Unk
status.
I know. These days, my dog wakes me up at 6:30 every morning.
That's the difference.
He just stands on me and he just goes, "Brother."
Oh, when they want to go.
I'm hungry.
Christen is the morning dog shift, but I am the night guy.
There you go.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I bring up John because he texted me today as he's kind of finishing up defensive tackles, and he's like, "I might just have Caleb Banks at 1. And
Yeah.
I think with both of us having him at 2, or you have him at 3, I have him
I'm
at
at
2.
3.
You have him at 3. There's a world where it's easy to paint that picture. Because you mentioned, if Caleb Banks is fully healthy this upcoming season, he is 6'6", 330 pounds, the first step explosiveness, and he's just the overall athlete that he is at his size. God doesn't make many of them like this dude. And he showed that at the Senior Bowl. Really didn't get to play too much because of a foot injury. Now he's got another foot injury that he's having surgery on again. And
It's the same one, right?
I
think I read
actually.
it's the same one where I'm like, oh boy.
Well, it's a coin flip. It's one or the other.
It's got to be a 50-50 chance.
Yeah, you got a 50-50 chance whether it's the same one or it's the other foot. And like now, unfortunately, Connor, we have to go, okay, the tape's inconsistent. It's all flashes at this point. But there's really good reason to believe in the flashes. But you're 330 pounds and now you got foot problems. Not good. Not good.
No, it's concerning.
I think there's a world where Caleb Banks, just does not get drafted in the first round. When in reality, if you go to, Madden settings and turn the pre-existing injuries off,
Oh, he's awesome.
he might be DT1. Might be talking about him at Bengals at 10, Chiefs at 9. I don't think we're having those conversations anymore, but that's what we're talking about with a player like this. Inconsistent 2 years ago, but the flashes were there, man. The raw power, the first step explosiveness. I mean, he had a rep. I think it was Dalton, my co-host with the PFF NFL show, RIP, who pointed this out to me. There was a rep at the Senior Bowl, a one-on-one rep, where he lost the rep. And he was immediately said to the coach, do it again. Please, let me line up right now. Please let me do it again. And he did, and Banks destroyed the guard the second time. And so it's one of those things where it's like, Caleb Banks, when he's locked in, when he's, LeBron 0 dark 30 mode, is one of the highest ceiling defensive linemen in this class. It's just, how often do you get that? So,
yeah, I have a lot of confidence in the player himself. I mean, the height, length, mass, talking about powerful big hands, quickness off the ball. I think he's twitchy considering the mass he carries, which just defies physics. Powerful, well-rounded. I think he's a pretty well-rounded player. I didn't look at him and go oh man, I don't trust him doing this or I don't trust him doing that. By the way, the chat is just out of control. There's so much RIP Dalton. Dalton is with us.
Dalton is with us. He is. Peter said, pray for Dalton. Ain't nothing wrong with him. He just doesn't work for PFF anymore. A lot of people don't.
Side note,
sadly.
No one does. So.
Yeah, a lot of people don't, sadly. Make sure, also, really quick, Dalton doesn't do social media a lot. He's just not a social media guy. There are very few people that know ball more than Dalton
He
does.
watches a lot of ball.
I mean, how players fit schematically, what works, what doesn't, what is translatable to the go. I mean, hey, dude, he doesn't have time for social media because he's watching tape.
Ball, man.
Yeah, please. Dalton and Max still have the college channel. I believe they rebranded it to Preferred Walk On, which is what it was before it was a PFF College show.
Oh, that's
now
great.
It's Preferred Walk On again. So those guys are still doing their thing, covering college football. Please go watch and support everything that they do. You will be a smarter football fan because of it, because of what those guys bring to the table. And honestly, there we go. Yes, there's the YouTube channel, which you guys can go see there. Those guys. Obviously, this is NFL Draft Channel. If you watch their show and watch our show, you're going to be more prepared for the NFL draft than you ever have before. So please go support those guys because they're fantastic at what they do.
I think I've said this before, but my first year doing Big Ten full time on Saturdays, throughout the week, I'd like to listen to a couple different previews of whatever game or games we had for NBC to kind of get what the public is talking about outside our walls. Mm-hmm. And Max and Dalton are always the first preview I listen to, because of their preparation, detail.
In depth, man.
In depth, a good feel for not only the conference at large, but the teams they're talking about. So, yeah, I second that.
Good use of at large, of the adjective at large there. That was good. That's good. All right, any more Caleb Banks thoughts? I mean,
No.
You got him at 3, I got him at 2.
The too long don't read is very good, hurt a lot.
Yep, I'm with you. I'm 100% with you. I actually had Caleb Banks ranked as a 3-4 defensive end. Because I have 3 different categories. I have nose tackle, I have 3 tech, and then I have 3-4 defensive ends. I actually have him as a 3-4 defensive end.
I would like him there too. I think he's more disruptive from there.
I agree. Last guy that we haven't talked about yet is Christen Miller from Georgia, who I have as my defensive tackle 1. You have him as DT2. You want to just talk about solid. As the great Marshawn Lynch video would be when they ask him to describe his game and he says solid, and he's got like, nah, it's got to be better than solid. He says, yeah, ain't nothing better than solid, baby. That's what we're talking about here with Christen Miller. I don't know if that video still exists, but search after this podcast, search Marshawn Lynch solid, and I think that you guys will find the video. Such a smart football player, man. And that's why I love Christen Miller. Redshirt junior coming out of Georgia, just under 6'4", 63rd percentile in height, 321 pounds, 84th percentile weight. A little bit shorter arms, 33-inch arms, which is 43rd percentile, but hand size right around 54th percentile, so right where you want it. Former 4-star defensive lineman from Ellenwood, Georgia. Won state championships as a sophomore and a senior, so he's got the high school rings and the hardware there. Played 4 games as a redshirt freshman, then 13 games, and he started 10, and then he started all 14 this past season. I just think that the way that he sees the game is very rare for a defensive lineman. Defensive linemen are often, just told to attack, right? I mean, yes, I think the great ones read the keys, have great technique, but there's a lot of just big athlete guys on the defensive line who coaches they don't want them to think a lot. They don't want them to process. They just want them to attack, be aggressive and attack. Christen Miller can do that, but there's just so much high football IQ with the way that he does it. He has a sixth sense for where the ball is going. He has great anticipation, fantastic pad level, fantastic use of leverage, great hand placement, is always in control no matter what the situation is asking him to do, especially from a run defense perspective. The processing is so fantastic when it comes to where the ball is going and then when it is coming towards him to stack and shed and make a play. I don't think that he's ever going to be this major difference-making pass rusher. And for that, I think you have to sort of think about his game a little bit like what you talked about with McDonald. You just can't really expect that out of these guys. If you want a pass rusher type, take Caleb Banks. Maybe take Peter Woods, right? Like, take one of those guys if that's really what you want on your defensive line. But if you're asking me to pick one of these players that I have the highest faith in to be a second contract player and an important piece of a defensive line, it's Christen Miller from Georgia.
There's just so much to like about Christen Miller. Number one, I'll say this. His energy is infectious and insane. When we had him at the Combine, I could hear him from 30 feet away, like yelling, "Go Dogs" to everybody, just constantly going. I'm like, this guy not tired.
I love that.
For context, with Combine interviews for media and podiums, a lot of the guys are up all hours of the night meeting with a million teams. And then they're up early to go through medicals and media. And so it's when you see them at podiums or doing media, you try to give them a little grace that, like, dude, you're in the most stressful environment you've probably ever been in your life. Mm-hmm. And it's exhausting. And you're exhausted. And then also some of them might be cutting or adding weight, which is not comfortable on the body. So Christen Miller, he is like, you're around him and you just love listening to him and how passionate he is. And somebody said this in the chat, and I guess this was public as well. I know him and Zachariah Branch were like really the two of the pros at that program. Like,
love that.
Work ethic wise. Christen himself credits Michael Williams a lot for kind of being that guy for him. And he's someone that, like, he could have left last year, but he dialed in, got better, got stronger, focused in, and he's going to reap the rewards of that when he's a top 40 pick. You and I have been kind of carrying the flag that we think he's very underappreciated in this class. Listen, the pass rush, it runs cold for long stretches. I get it. Like, he's not the most dynamic pass rusher, but he's big. He's got a dense build. When he arrives off the ball, he consistently makes an effort to work his hands under pads through the chest to have control. And he's a stack and shed artist against the run.
Yes, he is.
It's head up.
He is.
It's head up, control with hands, inside hands, and understand gap integrity, work off the blocker, and stop the ball carrier. And it's just over and over again as you see the 90.9 run defense grade. That is not a coincidence. He has the size, length, they use him at multiple alignments. Even when he runs cold for long stretches as a pass rusher, Trevor, the effort is still really good. I mean, he's out there trying to work his way through. He's just not dynamic. So this is a floor raiser for a defensive line.
Yep, I agree. I agree with you. This is a player that I want on my football team, and I think Marcus was in the chat a little bit earlier. Where was his super chat? Yeah, Marcus, that franchise guy, said, "Hey, Pipsqueaks, I made sure to book our flights to Guatemala with Jonah Coleman before Connor and I have our kids, not together." And Trevor gets a big-time network job. Can't wait for the trip. Also, Christian Miller, DT Hive, stand up. Appreciate Marcus getting in on the super chat, which we'll read in a couple of minutes here.
Yeah.
As we are wrapping up the show. There we go, folks. That is our top 10 defensive linemen in the class. We even threw you a little bit of an extra talking about Caleb Proctor and Gracen Halton just being on the outside, being those pass rusher types that are a little bit more on the outside. And then somebody was talking about Keldrick Falk in the chat. I think Meyer was talking about Keldrick Falk. We talked about Keldrick Falk in the edge rusher episode. I wouldn't have Keldrick Falk outside of my top 10 if I was putting him as a 3-4 defensive end, which, to be honest with you, I might actually think that that's his best spot in the NFL. But when we did the edge rusher episode, we put him in there, so I didn't think about including him here in this episode.
Yep.
So just a little bit of a conversation there about that. For me, number 10, Darrel Jackson Jr. from FSU. Number 9, Albert Regis from Texas A&M. Number 8, Lee Hunter from Texas Tech. 7, Chris McClellan from Missouri. 6, Big Citrus from Iowa State. Zxavian Harris at number 5 from Ole Miss. 4, Peter Woods from Clemson. 3, Kayden McDonald from Ohio State. 2, Caleb Banks from Florida. And then Christian Miller as my DT1 at the top.
Number 10 for me, summer scouting favorite, DeMonte Capehart from Clemson. Albert Regis also at 9 for me, Trev from Texas A&M. Darrel Jackson Jr. from Florida State. At 8, Tim Keenan III from Alabama. At 7, 6 is Domonique Big Citrus Orange from Iowa State. 5, Lee Hunter, the Fridge from Texas Tech. 4, Peter Woods from Clemson. 3, Caleb Banks from Florida. 2, Christian Miller from Georgia. And 1, Kayden McDonald McPounder from Ohio State.
We would love to hear from you guys as well. Obviously, you've talked about Gracen Halton plenty in the chat, but anybody who is listening after the fact, we'd love to hear you in the comment section. Let us know who we're sleeping on as defensive tackles, players that you can see being drafted a little bit higher, guys that you're going to plant the flag on, stand on the table for, whatever you want to call it. Appreciate everybody who subscribed to the show, supported the show. Like we said during the when I was kind of talking about PFF and what's next, you guys are going to get a lot more of NFLSC here moving forward. We're very excited to kind of talk about what our draft week plans are going to be together.
Yes,
we can't give it to you guys yet.
Oh, baby.
But we promise you guys are you're gonna like it. We are extremely excited about it. April 14th at noon Eastern is when the 7-round charity mock draft stream is happening. So make sure you block off your schedules. Make sure you tell your boss you're probably not going to get a lot of work done. Or if you got a second, what?
Christen was like, "Hey, I've been booking some online parenting and birth classes," and she's going through the dates. I'm like, "Yeah, it's cool. It's from home. That's cool. That's cool." Then she hits one Tuesday the 14th. I go, no. I go, "It's the charity box stream," and she goes, "Well, how long is it?" And I was like, "We don't know. It could go into Wednesday." So.
And it was at that time she reloaded the shotgun and then stared at you and said, "You want to answer that again?"
Yeah, it was a little Joe Judgian from me, not intended. I'll attend all the other ones. Don't worry, everyone.
So yes, somebody said I'll keep the 15th clear as well. Yeah. So yeah, make sure you book off 2 days on the calendar for that one. But yes, we'd love for you guys to join us. We had a lot of fun doing the 7-round stream last year, and it's going to be even bigger and better this year. Subscribe to the channel, follow the channel at NFLSC Show. Follow us at Connor J. Rogers, at Tampa Bay Trey on all the socials. You guys know where it is. Appreciate you guys watching. If you're watching live, stick around. We're going to answer a lot of the super chats here after the show here. And if you're listening after the fact, these will be included in the mailbag episode that you guys will see on Friday. For the chef behind the scenes, making it all happen, for Connor Rogers, I'm Trevor Sikkema saying thank you guys so much for watching. this episode of the NFL Stock Exchange Show. See you guys next week.